Well, we've made it to day 2 of my trip from Orange County all the way to Chicago. I believe just over halfway across the country. Day 1 was absolutely incredible. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And I'm currently sitting at Zion National Park, just outside of St. George, Utah. The drive in here was absolutely incredible. It was late last night, so I couldn't see much, but driving to Springdale this morning and then coming into Zion has been absolutely breathtaking. Good way to kind of clear the mind before finishing the rest of this drive and having a super busy summer, traveling, playing professional golf. It's going to be super fun. Planning on answering a couple of questions that you guys have asked me throughout the years, so I figured I would just get some of the big ones out of the way here now, and I'm happy to do any more Q&As in the future. So tag along, and hopefully I can answer some of your guys' questions. I guess we can start off with why Chicago. Funny short story. 5 years ago, my swing coach and short game coach was James O. Probably has the most incredible short game I've ever seen in my life. He texted me, I'm going to go to Chicago Highlands Club. A professional is trying to make a comeback, and turns out the professional who was making a comeback was Ben Griffin, who obviously is playing some phenomenal golf right now, hoping he's on a Ryder Cup team later this year. Probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Heard a little bit about his story, got to practice with him for a couple days, and I mean, obviously he was super impressive. I can't believe that he ever stopped playing golf, but so crazy how that happens. Kind of feels like a full circle moment going back to Chicago this summer after, you know, being there 4 or 5 years ago with Ben. Hopefully in 4 or 5 years my career looks just the same that his does. Obviously he's having a lot of success on tour right now. Was out there several years ago, got to know the guys in the pro shop really well. Paul, Logan, and Patrick. Incredible group of guys. They do a really good job over there at Chicago Highlands, and I'm so pumped to get out there this summer and see what the course is looking like, because it's obviously been a few years, but I expect nothing but good things, and I think it's going to be really productive. So I'm excited to show you guys around. Man, what an unbelievable place to stop. I mean, this hike is really cool. It's kind of a zoo today. I mean, there's hundreds of people out here doing this hike, but I guess we'll move on to kind of the first real question. Most people ask me is, where does the ball speed come from? I think probably get that comment a few times with posts, DMs about it, whether or not this is a fitness routine. And I hate to break it to a lot of people, but genetics play a huge part in how far you can hit the ball. It's not all of it, and you can obviously alter how big you are. Mass moves mass. Prime example, what Bryson did, where he, I mean, obviously transformed his game, and I mean, it's taken him to really, really incredible heights. I mean, he's done awesome things, and I've been super blessed to know him and kind of watch him go through that process a little bit, like go and watch speed training and talk about diet and stuff like that. So that was really cool. But yeah, I would say the first thing, like genetically, I have pretty long arms, and that just helps give me way more width in the swing and more speed. So that's always going to be a huge advantage. But I would say the main thing is, when I was younger, my dad was just like, swing as hard as you possibly can. I mean, go to the range and I would just pound drivers, because you can't really, you know, you can learn to control speed, but gaining it takes a little bit of work. And doing speed training sessions where you kind of break through barriers of ball speeds and just teach yourself how to move quickly and train those fast twitch muscles is incredibly important. You can do that in the gym as well. I mean, doing any type of rotational strength, explosive movements, jumps, vertical force, if you've watched any of the TPI videos, is a huge source of power and momentum. So the more vertical you can get and the faster you can turn your body rotational and the more force you can produce, obviously it's going to create more ball speed. So I wouldn't be afraid to get out there and, you know, swing hard, like let it rip, do stuff in the gym, rotational stuff. And I'm happy to do a full video on what I do in the gym to try and, you know, keep my speed where it's at, maintain my body, and that's obviously super important. I've dealt with a fair share of injuries in my career, which has been pretty unfortunate, but all things considered, I'm super blessed to be healthy right now. Just gonna look at the bright side. But yeah, get in the gym, rotational, create vertical force, and then just go to the range and swing hard. You can't teach speed while you're trying to improve accuracy. You have to learn the speed and then learn how to dial it back. Perfect example of that, I would say, is probably Jake Knapp. Jake is probably one of the few guys that I've ever played with that's genuinely hit the ball farther than me. Probably 6-7 years ago when I played with him, I mean, he could probably average mid 190s ball speed if he really wanted to. But he got the speed and then he learned how to control it, and obviously it's done wonders for his game. Guy absolutely smokes it. Hits it a lot straighter now because he's swinging 10 miles an hour less than he actually can. So, yeah, I would say just teach yourself the speed, learn how to swing hard, and then, then dial it back once you got it. So that'd probably be my biggest tip. Or ask your parents for some different genetics, because that also has an effect on your ball speed. Well, we've found our next spot here. Pretty incredible, again, kind of hiking right through some of these gorges in the Narrows of Zion. Let's see, next question. I think probably more than anything I get reached out to about college golf, the recruiting process, by junior players, whoever it might be, parents. I learned a lot going through that process, and I wish I would have known some of this at the beginning of it. If any of this can help any of you, then mission accomplished. I would say in the recruiting process, nothing is going to beat playing good golf. I mean, that's kind of a given, but there are definitely ways you can improve your chances of getting noticed by a coach or recruited to a school. I would say the most important thing, aside from just, working hard, playing good golf, is probably start early in the recruiting process. I know the rules are changing pretty much every year in terms of what's legal in the recruiting process. I used to be able to call coaches in their office, and if they answered, I could have full conversations with them before I even, hit that June 1st mark of my junior year. So there were loopholes. I think they've closed up a lot of those. You can't even talk to coaches at tournaments anymore. So what I would recommend is start early. Get coaches on your radar. Like, have your dream schools, have your schools that you probably are good enough to play at, and then, I wouldn't necessarily have a safety school, but if you'd like to, you want to shoot for the stars, and that's what I did. UCLA was my dream school, and I was so blessed to be able to go there and compete for 5 years. But I started with Derek Freeman, the head coach who recruited me, really early. I started golf late. I started playing I started playing junior golf when I was basically 13 and a half or so, and I felt really behind. But, I knew that I was going to put in a lot of hard work, and I wanted that to pay off by going to a good university and getting a good education. So I started emailing Derek Freeman, I believe, in 8th grade. And, I'd send him an update email like every 3 to 4 months, maybe, 5 or 6 months that early in the stage. But, just to see my name pop up that young in his email, I remember he said that he saw my emails. And, he might not necessarily have taken interest at the time, but later down the line, if you start playing better golf and your name starts popping up on leaderboards, those coaches are going to remember your names popping up in their emails, and, that could go a huge way, just noticing your name and saying, oh, this kid has an interest in playing at my university. And they're probably a lot more likely to stay in touch with you, at least follow your results and see the kind of player you are. But, starting my 8th grade, I wasn't even playing in the biggest AJGAs or whatever it might have been yet. And so I'd send all types of updates. I was the ASB president of my middle school, and obviously on a team, you have to be able to get along well with all your teammates. And showing some of those leadership qualities, could have definitely gone a long way for a coach. A coach knowing they're not going to have to worry about you academically is absolutely massive. Because if you're going into a school and you're causing issues in the classroom and, not even having passing grades to the point where you can play for the team, that's just going to create issues for the coach that they probably don't need. So I would include a lot of those types of updates, academic achievements, leadership roles and positions, whatever it might have been during my middle school and high school. And then as it started getting closer to, sophomore, junior year to where I was going to commit, I started probably sending update emails every 2 to 3 months of important stuff that had happened in tournament golf, everyday life, and kind of just try to create that relationship with a coach. Obviously, don't go bombard them and send them 2 emails a week, and because then it could get maybe a little bit annoying. But I would recommend starting early. Send them an email when you're in 8th grade, freshman year, sophomore year, and just kind of introduce yourself and get your name on their radar. I would put in the subject of the email your first and last name in bold letters or something. Try to get their attention. At least have them see your name. Even if they skim over the email, they see your name pop up in a leaderboard 2 weeks later, 2 months later, whatever it might be. They're probably going to remember that, and that's incredibly important. Just having the recognition. There's always going to be the players that are in the top 20 in the country. They're going to be able to go wherever they want, but improving your chances of going to a college by just doing some due diligence early in the career, putting a list together of the schools you want to go to, and just, reaching out early and getting on their radar. I think that goes a long way. It definitely did for me. I also went to the UCLA camp when I was, I believe, a freshman in high school, and I hadn't really won anything big yet, but just created that relationship with the coach. He had said that he'd seen my emails, and obviously he wasn't allowed to respond, but I think he appreciated kind of the diligence that it took to do that at such a young age. So that'd probably be my main advice. I mean, work hard, improve your game, but reach out early and kind of get that relationship started. But also don't be defeated when they don't respond, because they're probably not allowed to. So keep your head up and keep grinding. Hope that helped.
Well, we are officially 2 miles into the Narrows hike at Zion Canyon. A lot of less people. It was kind of a zoo earlier. There's probably only about 5 or 6 people that I see now. Still an incredible hike. I think a lot of people kind of just stop at the pools along the way, hang out, go for a dip, which hopefully I'll do eventually. It's definitely getting a little hot out here. It's probably, I think it's been, I don't even know how long it's been. I'm trying to track it on my Garmin watch, but I accidentally started like a lap or whatever that means. So yeah, let's move on to the next question. So I also get asked a ton how I got involved with the Good Guys, Bryson, and kind of how like the social media thing started for me. So it actually started when I was younger. There were a couple golf accounts: Sire Golf, Country Club Collection, GolfWorks. GolfWorks was Johnny Wonder. There are a few other, really cool guys like Country Club Collection. I actually know who he is, but he keeps his identity a secret. And they posted me a couple of my golf swings on some of their accounts, and apparently they were nice looking swings. Hit it pretty hard when I was younger, and got a lot of traction. So Garrett saw one of those videos, and he DM'd me asking, just saying that he liked the swing. It's like, hey, I'd love to get you in a video soon. And obviously I was like pumped. Like, I had watched his videos probably since I was 16, since he started making the trick shots in his backyard. He's obviously done incredibly well for himself, and blessed to call him a good friend. And we've had a lot of really cool memories and experiences over the last 6-7 years or so. So he DM'd me, told me he liked the swing, and he's like, I'd love to have you up to Dallas, film a video. Unfortunately, that was kind of delayed until COVID was over, and got out to Dallas, filmed with them, went out and filmed with Bryson shortly after that. I'll probably answer the Bryson story in another segment of this video. But yeah, I mean, just kind of started with filming videos with Garrett on his channel, and then he's obviously Good came along. He started the apparel line, and he asked me if I wanted to wear the apparel. I was like, absolutely. Love all the guys over there. Really awesome group. Love Kendrick, the CEO, as well. They've been awesome to me. Been a huge part of my career so far, and hopefully I can get some videos soon. It's kind of tough with my traveling schedule, and I always feel bad when I have to turn down opportunities like that. But yeah, I mean, hopefully I can make some time for it and play some good golf at the same time, because I love both those outlets, social media and professional golf. So if I can kind of pursue both of these simultaneously, and clue you guys into a little bit of what I'm doing, that would be kind of a dream of mine. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started with Garrett, Good, and some of the social media stuff. So let's see how much farther we can make it in the Narrows. This is kind of what the rest of the hike is going to consist of. Not a whole lot of people out here. But yeah, the final question that I tend to get asked pretty frequently is, what like a fitness workout split looks like during the week, especially as a golfer. I definitely would say that I've learned a lot over the years. In high school, I didn't like lifting. I was pretty small. When I got to college, I was 6'1", 150, and that wasn't really working for me. I was getting hurt a lot. I didn't feel like I had enough mass to kind of, maintain the types of speed that I was getting up to. So when I was freshman in college, I asked my dad to start training me a little bit. He was a bodybuilder. I'll put a picture of him in the video right now so you can kind of see the credentials that he has, which are pretty incredible. He started or co-founded Max Muscle Sports Nutrition, really incredible company, supplements, nutrition, stuff like that. And he kind of put me on a little program. I was doing like 6 days a week, probably lifting for an hour and a half a day. And it was more like bodybuilding type regiment stuff. There wasn't a whole lot of golf specific, which in hindsight probably wasn't the smartest thing, but once I started seeing some results, I kind of just wanted to, keep getting bigger, and a lot of that was eating. I didn't really like eating, but
once I started looking at food as numbers and calories towards like a goal, as opposed to something I was, just there to enjoy, I think that kind of helped my mentality a little bit, and I was able to start eating a lot more. I mean, I was probably eating like 5 or 6 times a day. 2 or 3 of those obviously were protein shakes, but yeah, I mean, in like 7 months, I probably put on 35, 40 pounds, and I'll put a screenshot of the workout split that I did for that, 7, 8 month period on the screen right now. But in hindsight, I probably would have added some more golf specific stuff in there. I don't think it was necessarily super beneficial to like just, do more of like the powerlifting, bodybuilding type workouts. Oh boy. I'm really hoping I don't drop you guys into the water. That'd be a terrible way to end this video. But yeah, I mean, it was more so like, I had the back by, chest, tri days, core, and that was the majority of what my weeks looked like. But now it's a lot more, I think, probably tailored towards what I need as a professional golfer. I'm working with a physical therapist named Newly. His Instagram is @thenewels. Has a lot of really cool stuff on his Instagram, golf specific workouts. He's been super instrumental in getting me healthy again, which has been a huge issue for me over the course of my career. So yeah, I mean, a lot of it's like golf specific kind of activation work, muscle activation. It's a take on MAT, muscle activation technique, which basically teaches you how to like turn on certain parts of your muscle groups. And for me, I really struggled with glute activation. My ankle mobility wasn't very good. I've actually been down to TPI and did the full body testing. And those are the things that I really learned. And so over the course of the years, like kind of just formulated a plan for me that, tailors to my body, and everybody's going to be a little bit different, but I would say the main thing is like, you got to stay mobile in this game in terms of, creating longevity in your game and in your swing. But more than that is just being consistent. Like, you don't have to do 6 days a week, 3 hours a day. Like, you could go work out for 30, 40 minutes a day, 2 or 3 days a week, hit your muscle groups if you're just trying to like, get your foot in the door, and then you'll learn a lot about yourself in those first few months of lifting. But yeah, I mean, tailor it to kind of golf. Like, as I said earlier, a lot of the vertical force stuff, jumping, rotational, that's all going to be super helpful. And there's so much good information online in terms of like, actual doctors, physical therapists, trainers, sports nutritionists that, have so much good information on that stuff. And I definitely used a lot of those sources to help guide my, my plan. And obviously my dad was a huge part of that. So shout out Pops. But yeah, I mean, I would say for the most part, like, being consistent doesn't have to be crazy involved, like powerlifting, all that kind of stuff. Just like get consistent, find something that works for you, and just find a way to enjoy it. Because I think staying healthy and, even getting to do stuff like this is, what an incredible view, is really, really cool. I have this Garmin that's been awesome. I've gone 3.8 miles. I don't know if that's focusing. I've gone 3.8 miles. I don't even know how long it's been. I accidentally clicked the timer thing, so it kind of reset the button, but I think this is probably going to be the end of my hike. I haven't seen anybody for probably 30 minutes or so, and the sun's starting to go down. Probably have another 2 hours back or so. So I'm going to get some good steps in, but I hope you guys enjoyed some of the questions. I'm happy to answer any more down in the comments, or I can make another video like this if you guys enjoyed it. Tune in for the next one. It's going to be really fun going out and playing with a special good member, one of my good friends. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys tune in, and thanks for watching.